Hey guys, it's Eric with the Miller Park Minute, where we're throwing strikes and getting likes. Back again with another podcast. Yes, 2 days in a row. We are starting strong in the new year. So we're back again. Today's topic, we are talking about Steve Cohen and what we would do if Steve Cohen owned the Milwaukee Brewers. Now, it goes without saying, Steve Cohen is one of the new kingpins of baseball. He's the new George Steinbrenner in New York. He's giving the Dodgers, the Yankees, and all the top level teams a run for their money. And well, it goes without saying that this is good for baseball. And I'm going to tell you why in just a minute here, but we're going to take a second out of our time to talk about our sponsors. And of course, can't go without saying SeatGeek. SeatGeek, $20 off. Code's right there. Miller Park Minute. If you use that code, you get $20 off your first purchase with SeatGeek. So go ahead and use that code. Save yourself some money on tickets. All right. I don't like to be a sponsor-heavy podcast. So we're not going to talk about sponsors all that often. So gonna give my SeatGeek plug here and there. Kind of plug out the other content, the YouTube channel, that kind of thing. Throughout, this is a new daily podcast that we are doing. We are exploring the Milwaukee Brewers and Milwaukee Brewers baseball every day, talking about the ins and outs, the news, the happenings. On light news days, we'll have topics where we just discuss kind of what if scenarios and different scenarios. I'll also go through the different social medias each week and kind of pick some highs and some lows and some different things that I want to highlight, so to speak. So today we're going to talk about Steve Cohen, the owner of the New York Mets. If you're totally foreign to baseball, he is really making waves with the amount of money he's spending. He's making waves with his pocketbook right now. And that's the big thing. So to total, he committed 806.1666. There's a lot of sixes there. But anyways, of average annual value total committed to his roster 2023, 162. Yeah, that's a lot. But he's spending all the money. He's making all the moves. So far this offseason, he's committed to Carlos Correa, Dave Robertson, Brandon Nimmo, Jose Quintana, Justin Verlander, Edwin Diaz, Adam Ottavino, Kodai Senga, and Omar Narvaez. Obviously, that last one's a Brewer, our former Brewer. So he actually got a pretty hefty deal, a 2-year, $15 million deal, which is pretty hefty for a guy like Narvaez. I didn't research how much he was on the books with Milwaukee for, but that being said, this guy is spending a ton of money, 162 a year. Now everyone will say to me, Eric, well, he's in New York, he can afford that. I disagree. I think it comes to the fact that he's a billionaire. He's a hedge fund guy. He has a lot of money to spare, and he's having fun with this. And don't we want that for the Brewers? Don't we want an owner that has fun? I mean, I think this whole season we've riffed off about how cheap our ownership has been, and I wouldn't even care if we didn't sign. We don't need a Verlander or a Brandon Nimmo or a Carlos Correa. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not pigeonholing myself in the position that the only way for our team to improve is if we sign these guys. You look at just the 5-year commitment that they make to the Japanese player Senga at $75 million. That's really reasonable. That's a $15 million a year deal, and I don't see that as a bad thing. But it's going out and spending $7 million on a catcher, $7.5 million on a catcher. in Narvaez. You've got guys like Francisco Lindor on that team. You've got Max Scherzer. They've went out and they've got these guys and they've paid them the money for the good of the fans. Now let's throw a small market out of this. For the good of the fans. Had we signed two of these players, Quintana was once in our wheelhouse. Had we signed a guy like him, that commitment was only $26 million for 2 years. I think we gave that to Wong, maybe? No. Was it Wong or was it one of our other short-term deals we made? And I think what it says about the team is they're out there willing to spend the money to make those moves. Now, are they projected to be the best team in baseball? That is a great question. So if you go over to our friends at Fangraphs, they're not. I think they're projected, last I looked. Now, Carlos Correa is still not official yet. So I'm going to stop here because there's a piece of news that I read on Twitter, and I don't know if it's legit or not, but I found it really funny if it is legit. There was a Twitter, I don't even know the name of the guy. I'm going to look it up. I don't have it in front of me, but I'm going to look it up. There's a guy on Twitter that suggested that Carlos Correa switched places with his twin brother at some point. He had a career-ending injury. So that's just funny to me. I'm sorry. That's hilarious. Let's see here. 2023 Steamer projections. That's what we want. If you don't use Fangraphs, it's a great little tool. You can get a membership to them. And it's free. It's a free membership, but it gives you kind of rankings and everything you want to see about baseball, numbers that you don't even care about. It'll give you everything. So let's just go to teams. And we'll go projected 2023. Oh, hold on. NL East. Okay, that's not giving me what I want. But anyways, he spent his money. He went out and got guys. He used the guys he had and strengthened the team. Now, could we strengthen the team with the signing of the three bigs? We've talked about this. This was on McCalvy's podcast, just about every other podcast that there was. Brewers Unfiltered with Tim Dillard and Adam McCalvy was talking about this just a month ago, just a few short weeks ago, because they did a crash podcast, which is really kind of funny. The Brewers official podcast isn't really aired all that often. And I just feel like there should be more news. But I was talking to my friend Rob earlier today, and we were both talking about there's not enough Brewers news. That's why you got mixed in other baseball. And that's why things like Steve Cohen and the Mets and the numbers that they've spent, because these contracts are astronomical. I'm not saying that they're not. And I'm not by any means justifying that I think that every baseball team should spend this. This is an absurd amount of contracts. What I am saying is if you commit your money in the right places, the people will come. The adage used in the movie Field of Dreams comes to light the most in my eyes. If you build it, they will come. Look at the attendance and the numbers for Miller Park, AmFam Field, whatever you want to call it, that's fine. If you look at the numbers of attendance and the years of growth that ballpark has had year after year, Wisconsin comes out in the summer. Now, imagine. Now, okay, using off the Bucks scenario a little bit yesterday, they spent the money to keep Giannis. They they sell merchandise to guys who don't buy merchandise, like who don't really follow the Bucks since like the 90s. And they keep the team there. Giannis was our guy. Okay. Burns is our guy. Hader was our guy. Woodruff is our guy. Freddie Peralta, they locked him up. Aaron Ashby, they locked him up. If they lock these guys up and continue to lock these guys up and pay them what they need, even the crazy numbers that we saw in that video yesterday, or that we talked about in that baseball with the Brewers exec or whatever it was off of Reddit. Pay him $26 million a year. Why not? Then you lock up your positions. I think the thing that we miss is at the rate that we go, we're keeping players on the cheap and not affording ourselves the opportunity to have a long-term team together. I think one of the things that the guys on Brewers Unfiltered, Tim and Adam mentioned today is the glue. You lose a guy like Brent Suter, he's the glue of the organization. He's a player that, is just an all-around good presence and a good clubhouse guy. And he's gone. He's gone, but not forgotten. I mean, a lot of the cohesivity of the team last year was in the guys that had been there forever. Your Josh Haders, your Brent Suters, and you can build that again. You can build it back. I mean, now we got, Yelich ain't going anywhere. He's our boat anchor. He's gonna stay. And then we've got guys like, thank you, guys like Corbin Burns and Brandon Woodruff that we could lock up long term and really make something happen, make something out of it. And I think that's where I'm talking that if Steve Cohen was the owner, he'd be signing these guys. You don't think that Steve Cohen is sitting there wetting his whistle over guys like Corbin Burns and Brandon Woodruff and Shohei Ohtani's becoming free agents? Yeah, he is, because he knows he can pay them and he will pay them. Because what are all these names that he brought in? Hopefully, besides a World Series title, what do they bring? They bring value. They bring jersey sales. They bring ticket sales. I don't know New York's attendance numbers off the top of my head. I know ours because I hear it, because I listen to our stuff every day. But you're going to sell Justin Verlander jerseys. You're going to sell Brandon Nimmo jerseys. You're going to sell Carlos Correa jerseys, whether he signs or not. Those are teams and players that, a fan is going to commit more money to wearing something with a player's name on it if he knows that they're going to be around for a while. I mean, every time I buy a Brewers jersey, I turn around and the guy gets traded. I got $400 Josh Hader jersey for him to be traded a year and a half after I bought the thing. That's a fact of baseball. I mean, it happens in every organization. I'm not saying it's specific to us and specific to the Brewers, but that is a huge, huge factor. And I think when you look at a guy like Steve Cohen and what he's doing for baseball and what he's doing with the Mets, you're looking at a totally different dynamic, something better than we have ever seen before in baseball. And it's going to be one of those things that's going to have an effect on how other teams spend money. The San Diego Padres are right now in that same boat. They're spending big money, or trying to spend big money, to put a team out on the field and to put a winning team out on the field. Championships equal money for the city, for the owner, and for the local economy. You get the biggest piece of the pie for the playoffs when you win the World Series. You get more bandwagon fans when you're good consistently. The Astros fans are going to be a great example. How many Astros fans were there 5 years ago versus now, when they've been in the peak of this dynasty and they've won 2 World Series? Whether they cheated or not, They're pumping more money into the system. And fans of Milwaukee will spend the money. Just go drive around Milwaukee for a little while and see how many people are wearing Bucks stuff. Heck, drive around Fond du Lac, Wisconsin, and don't do this. Don't do this. Sit outside of school and watch how many kids walk out with Giannis or Bucks shirts on. I mean, it's crazy. It's that's what I'm saying. Spend the money, get the championship. And I think they could do it. And I think it could be a thing, especially if you lock up these three guys at this crucial time. I mean, you've already got Christian Yelich locked up, and he could turn around and get better and be better. I really, really like it. I like what I see, and I'm I don't know. I like the way of spending money because it makes baseball more competitive. And when baseball is more competitive, and it's not just the Yankees and the Dodgers, it's more fun. And I think most of the teams could and should do this. I mean, wouldn't it be awesome to see other teams in our division be more competitive? The Pirates, the Reds. I mean, I know we all like to win a baseball game, but when it's kind of the same old every time and they trot out the same players and, they got that one good guy on the team, that's not as fun to watch. And now we're in a new age of shifting baseball and changing baseball and new rules. And I just think that they need to take the bull by the horns on this and really kick out these guys, these owners that don't want to spend, because that's what's holding the game back. They talk about pace of play and time and all these things being the reason that baseball isn't as popular, isn't growing. No, baseball isn't as popular and isn't growing because your owners are just about their bottom lines, not about the fans and the experience. NFL teams go out there and play a 3-4 hour, commercials and everything. I'm saying, the average NFL game isn't short. And that's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about baseball. I think they need to. I'm Googling it right now. How long is the average? Guys, I've got new stuff coming every day here now, so please check back daily. It says despite being contested over a scheduled 60 minutes, games take 3 or more hours to complete due to numerous stops in play. 3 or 4 hours, and the NFL product is growing like crazy right now. You go on any podcast platform, you know what they're talking about? Not baseball. NFL football. Guaranteed. That's pretty impressive. 3 to 4 hours. 3 to 4 hours. What? How long is our sport? What's the average game? The point is, the new rules are coming, no matter what. They're changing the game, but they're also not changing the game in other aspects. And I think this is one that needs to be adapted and needs to change. I think owners need to be forced to, and I know there's penalties if you don't spend enough money and stuff like that. I mean, but we're looking at a Brewers team that has spent $0 on free agents. Major league level free agents. Let's clarify that because somebody was getting technical the other day on the internet. But I don't know. That's where I think Steve Cohen would affect the Milwaukee Brewers in a great way, because we'd have guys like Corbin Burns, Brandon Woodruff, Willie Adames locked up. You could even start to think about Garrett Mitchell and maybe even Contreras at this point, if these guys are going to be so good. And you wouldn't lose a guy like Josh Hader because you'd be spending the money to sign him. I mean, Edwin Diaz is going to be on the level of Josh Hader. He's getting $20 million a year on a 5-year deal, $102 million. I'm sure plus incentives, but that's the base contract that it gives me. really Correa and the Mets is dominating the news right now, and it's just because there's so much unknown. I was listening to Talking Baseball today, and they were talking about something with some bamboo in his arm or his foot. I can't remember exactly where they said it was located, but not good. Not good. It's terrible. Um, and this is really it's a spotlight story. It's kind of crazy to think that Carlos Correa medically was not ready, and albeit he just signed with the Mets or the Twins. He's now signing with the Mets. He signed with the Twins, and they okayed a deal, and his physicals were okay. So the question is, did something happen to Carlos Correa last season, or was it a long-term injury that's just scaring people because they don't want to lock him? I don't know. Comment below what you think that is. Mets and Marlins, or I'm sorry, Red Sox and Marlins are talking trade for top prospects. They're going to switch some prospects around. Nothing really interesting there. The trades have kind of died since after Christmas. So trades and big signing. I wanted to spotlight something, and I just wanted to riff off and give my piece about it because I think it needs to be said. Barry Bonds deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. That's it. That's all I got on that. Willie Calhoun has been invited to Yankees camp. A line of most underrated. They're just talking. A lot of the articles right now are just talking about why certain players deserve to go to Cooperstown. Yeah. So I mean, there's not a ton of news, guys. There's really not a crap ton to cover right now. I think if you look at you look at the Steve Cohens and the Dodgers. The Dodgers aren't spending money on long-term deals like the rest of these teams are. They didn't even enter the fray for some of these teams. So I think that's interesting. But some of the other things that are really transpiring in baseball, um, just not there's not much. It doesn't give us much to talk about, and that's kind of sad. One of the things we'll be talking about how the Milwaukee Brewers roster has changed. We're going to do a breakdown. The Butcher is going to come back for that episode, hopefully airing tomorrow or Thursday. Today is the Tuesday episode, so keep your eyes peeled for that. Every day we are dropping new episodes at 5:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. So either you can watch it here on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts, and you can get your daily fix of the Miller Park Minute, Eric Agnew. And yeah, that's what I got. I'm going to take a quick brief look at Twitter here. We're going to talk about other topics that we're going to be kind of covering throughout. One of the other things that I want to talk about for you guys and with you guys here is going to be the rules and the new rule changes coming with the upcoming season. Talk about the shift, the pitch clock. I love the random stuff. People's random appreciation of different players. Just memes. Meme city. Um we're gonna have a lot of debuts to look forward to. Right now off the top of my head, I want to see touring the most. And I would say next up is maybe I want to see where they go with Small and Ashby. If they can really put them into the rotation or the bullpen. Who's excited about Brewers baseball? Me, of course. Yeah, if you guys have any feedback, any things you'd like to hear me talk about on this podcast, I would really like to rip off on it. I'd love to continue here. I consume a lot of baseball content every day, and let me tell you, there's a lot out there going on with our game and things that I think need to be talked about, need to be covered. I love all of MLB, and I'm always going to love all of MLB. So I'm going to cover everything and anything. So this is a good one. Here is the first power rankings of 2023. New Year power rankings. So what do we have? We have the Astros, the Mets. Go figure. So I think it's great because the Mets jumped quite a bit from where they were. Obviously, with the end of the season tying with the Braves. The Braves are still third, Padres fourth, Yankees fifth, six is the Phillies, the Dodgers is 7, Mariners 8, Blue Jays, Rays, Cardinals, Guardians, Rangers, Brewers at 14. That's what I wanted to see. I mean, I'm not saying that's a bad position for us. I don't think that before tomorrow's episode or the next episode here, I'm going to get into too much of this breakdown, but I don't see. I think we may have stayed about the same. I don't see that we made drastic improvements, just with the subtractions of the trades and the additions of the trade. I think we about leveled off, but I'm going to get more in depth on that tomorrow. We'll talk more about that. We're going to do a prediction special, and we're going to talk about everything that is coming in the way of the Milwaukee Brewers. So that being said, this is Eric Agnew. I throw strikes, I get likes, and I talk Brewers baseball every day, 5:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. Watch the shows. Check it out. Thank you guys for watching, and I really appreciate you coming to enjoy an episode of the Miller Park Minute. Check the YouTube, check the Facebook, hit me up on Twitter, drop a comment below. Thanks for watching, guys. And as always, go Brewers.